Here it is. Bop.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I come through doing the curls up the... Sorry, I went back in my battle rap days.
You know what I mean?
You know what I
Street
mean?
Kings, what
that
we
was
all call
before.
it?
Yes, how do you remember that?
Street Kings.
Because KB's memory is world class. He remember stuff I didn't even remember. So back in the day, before in the BC days, before Christ,
When you was out there
when I was
thugging
out
and
there
bugging.
slinging that iron.
And I would put a dude in his,
You know what I'm
I pull him
saying?
aside like DMX and say, man, I'll enjoy life.
Listen, man, when you
I
talk
don't
with,
do a lot of yapping.
you know when you talk with the lips tight
put
like
them
this,
in-
that's how Kendrick was talking on his album a lot. He was rapping with his lips tight like this. Turn the TV off, turn the TV off. So sound like my mom. No, but back in the day, in the BC days, I was battle rapping a lot. And I was with a rap group called Street Kings. And I mean, cats had it tatted on their hands.
Yeah,
I was like, I ain't going that far, and I'm glad I did it because I would have had that mug on my hands
awkward
right now.
conversation.
Been a very awkward conversation, bro. That mug lasted about 6 months, and cats got that mug permanently on their hands. So I was in a rap group called Street Kings. Leader was my boy Timmy D. Shout out to Timmy, man. If you see this, I don't know if you ever will, but man, yeah, holla at me, man. The Lord actually saved me not too long after I was doing stuff with them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, God definitely saved me and turned me around. But before that, you know, I was out there thugging and bugging. No, I wasn't. But a lot of cats in the group, they was really out there in the streets like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was just like one of the dudes that was a part of it or whatever.
You know what's crazy is I had a conversation with one of the dudes from Street Kings at your house one time.
Yes, you did.
And
that was again a little bit after I came to know the Lord. I was
shortly
still
after-
cool.
Yeah, trusted Jesus, and we were sharing the gospel with this dude.
Yep.
And I remember him telling me one of the most insightful, eye-opening problems that hip hop creates in the hood, bro. He said, listen, I know that a label is going to look for an artist that has real life experience.
Yeah.
He said, it's like when you go get a job. You know how on your resume you want to show that you got a degree or you spent some time, you know, if you want to be a line chef, you want to show that you spent some time as a line chef here, you moved there. And if you want to, get a job in some kind of whatever it might be, you want to come with real references and real experiences. And he said, that's what I am doing in the streets.
Wow.
He said, I really do sell drugs.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm snitching right now. No, so I don't know what
Man,
these
this was
dudes
the
doing
man.
now.
The
I don't know what
statute of
these dudes are
limitations. That book was like
You good,
years
kid. You
ago.
good. You good. But he's like, I really am out here. Like I will, if I'll lay somebody down if I have to, so that when the label comes to find me, they don't just get good music. They have a dude that is actually living this. They're basically creating like a street resume.
Right.
Because that's what you would deduce from listening to the music.
Right.
Of the dudes that are on.
Yep.
Every single song.
Yep.
Like how many people you gonna kill in a verse? Remember Cassidy said that? Like how many, like how long have you been Pablo Escobar?
Right.
What does it mean that your drug operation extends from Boca Raton all the way up to Jacksonville and then out west?
Right. To Cali.
These are the people that are on making millions of dollars. So if I am going to do that, I'm going to follow their path.
Right.
So I never thought about this, but a lot of dudes
That's true.
are learning from hip hop how to get a job at Universal Records.
That's true though.
I was like, well, hold up. Like, you really think that?
Yeah.
He's like, straight up. And I'm like, have you considered that these dudes might be lying? Have you considered
But
that?
that's the problem.
Yes.
That's the problem. We haven't considered that. So cats hear the raps.
Yes.
And then they really want to live it because they're like,
Yes.
this is how I get on.
Yes.
And it's like Rick Ross was a CEO.
Yes, bro.
He wasn't the biggest boss that you've seen thus far. He had the biggest handcuffs that you've seen thus far. He might have had the biggest billy club that you've seen thus far. You know what I'm saying? He might have had the biggest size slacks.
Yes.
that was given from Dade County Correctional Office that
Yes.
you've seen thus far.
Yes.
But the man wasn't pushing pies, bro.
He was not.
The man was pushing
And let
a
me tell you
cell door
something.
closed. That's what
My
he was
man,
pushing.
Let me tell you something. And he ain't pushing pies right now,
He's
bro.
absolutely not pushing
He
pies
is
right
not
now.
pushing pies right now.
No.
First of all, that would be dramatic. That would be, I keep using that word a lot. That would be insanely stupid for you to be making millions of dollars
Yeah.
off of Wingstop
Yep.
and your catalog
Yep.
and your other artists you signed to this
Yeah.
imprint that you have with a major or whatever it might be.
Right.
And yet you're still turning,
Yeah.
sending birds out.
You still flipping chickens.
I don't know. That's not the word for it.
No, that's true.
You're still flipping chickens.
You still flipping chickens, bro. Not the Wingstop chickens, but other chickens.
Oh, it's not worth the hassle.
It's not worth it.
You know
bro.
when you got to do your dirty work for your LLC, the hard gritty stuff, it involves a CPA and then cutting the check.
Right.
When you got to do your dirty work for a multi-level distribution of street medication across the people are getting their heads blown off.
That's true, bro.
You're sleeping with a sawed-off shotgun underneath your pillow.
It ain't fun.
It's not fun at all.
It's
Nobody wants to be doing this.
It's
They
like
don't
what
have
Jeezy
to.
said. Jeezy said, "Who want to play with guns? A lot of bullets, a lot of blood, man. It ain't fun."
It's not fun unless you're a psychopath.
Yes.
Now there's some we in the hood we call them demons.
Yeah,
Okay?
they out there.
There are some demons out there, but most people,
And they're usually
the
broke
mass
and-
majority of people,
Yeah.
like nobody wants to be in this life out of. This is just a legitimate career path.
No.
But
Most
if
people
you
don't want to
listen-
be in it.
If you listen to hip hop, I was just thinking about this, bro. Ironically, it's not what this episode about, but ironically, and by the way, I had glasses on because I was punched in my eye yesterday, and my eye hurts really bad. And these lights are in my face, so forgive me. I was boxing. It was
Yes,
a consensual. Let me give you that context.
A consensual combat.
It was a consensual combat in a ring. So I was just thinking about Meek Mill's song, Lord Knows. I do not encourage you to go listen to it. In the song, he talks about how he went to jail. He said he showed no remorse. That the judge, he said, I didn't shed no tears.
Mm-hmm.
I basically told the judge I can't budge. He said, I did my push-ups. I rolled with the lions. You know what I'm saying? And I came out on the other end even stronger.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about his exploits.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about how in the first verse he says, like, essentially he says, I will take your life. I'll kill you, right? Then I'll show up at your funeral and I'll spit my verse in front of your entire family at the church. That's what he said he'll do. And of course, Lord Knows with Tory Lanez is one of Meek Mill's biggest songs, or one of his bigger songs. And I was thinking about that record, bro, and I was like, does this not say to a 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old boy that crime does pay?
Right.
And that there is merit. There is merit to the demon lifestyle because it actually sets you up for success in this world. If anybody were to follow the things that he's talking about, or Chief Keef's talking about, or all the dudes that, you know what I'm saying, that come from drill or gangsta rap, whatever it may be, if you follow those things, you have a 0.000000003% chance that it's going to result in anything good for your life.
Right.
But because of the pervasiveness of this messaging and the success of these artists that come from our neighborhoods, we really think that there's a promised land behind this wicked living.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just remember even growing up with folks like that in my family, and how, you know, the dude that got out of the hood and just has a solid, you know, new construction build in the suburbs, 300K.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's there with his wife and
Not
his
anymore.
kid. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
About
it used to
800K
be.
now. Go ahead. Sorry.
But if that dude didn't come around to the family, he didn't come to Thanksgiving and was respected. Like, man,
Yeah, that's
talk
true.
to me about your IRA. Now, and it's not even that kind of stuff. I'm just saying you aren't living at risk every month.
Right.
Right? Your bills are paid. You're saving for your kids.
Right.
Like, you know, y'all aren't in and out of foolishness. I'm exclusively talking about young people. Because when you get older, when you get, 25, 26, even the dudes that were living fast all around the city, moving weight, once they start getting older, when life has slowed them down, the prison system has slowed them down, the market has slowed them, whatever it may be, dudes start waking up.
They do.
Then that city job that you would have never wanted is now attractive.
That's exactly right. I also think that when you're young, that stuff is more entertaining.
Yeah.
I don't know if people may not want to admit it, but it is more entertaining to be living as a gangster if you're young and you from that neighborhood than just working a regular job and taking care of your family. That must seem boring.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But if I could be out here living it up as a gangster and get respect in the street, then be popping bottles and popping models.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Then that seems more attractive. But but the fact of the matter is, like you said, even now when we see the gangsters that are, in hip hop right now, way more rappers are dying now than any other time in the history of hip hop. But that is because way more rappers are actually real street dudes. So what you're actually also seeing in hip hop is that what happens to street dudes outside of hip hop is now happening to street dudes inside of hip hop. They're either going to jail, some are getting lucky, Young Thug, some are fighting a case, Lil Durk, which it looks like he's not going to get lucky. But a lot of them are dying. Are actually being killed. We always say if you in the streets doing street stuff, you either end up in jail or dead. A lot of the rappers are ended up in jail or dead. I mean, that's what's happening. The cats that's really doing street stuff. And then you got the cats that love doing street stuff, the sinful Augustine mindset of I'm not doing it necessarily just because I'm getting something out of it because I love to do it. That was Von. That was Von tweeting, man, I killed nobody in 3 weeks. Right? I'm itching to do it. But now look at what happened with him. He's dead. He got killed. Live by the gun, die by the gun, right? So I think it's hard, man, because it is the truth. We see it time and time again being the result. But as you said, the distance between the consequences and the reality of the consequences and the kind of idealized way of you see yourself living in as a gangster in the street. The in between that is the music that is glorifying it.
It's the stories that are told.
It's the stories that are told. It's the storytelling.
I am thinking of a dude right now that, again, when he came when Thanksgiving was going on and he showed up, we all knew what he did. We all knew who he was. And then I watched the trajectory of his life where he got older, and again, life slowed him down. And now, again, he's the big brother mentor. Like he's saying, well, you don't want to be out in these streets, blah blah blah. But we don't think about what was the culture, what was the stories that you were absorbing that had you out in the streets.
Very true.
But that's the same thing that's got them out there, which I think is a good transition to what we want to talk about today.
Right.
Because there's narratives that are shaping cultures around violence in this country that is coming to a head. Absolutely.
And I think that one of the narratives that we see, especially when it comes to violence and in the streets and in general, is vengeance. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to make cats pay for what they did to me or what they did to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And I think that we've seen vengeance in the headline lately. As we see Brian Thompson, the 50-year-old CEO of the American health insurance company, UnitedHealthcare, he was shot and killed in Midtown Manhattan on December the 4th. Right. And that was like early in the morning. It was outside of a Hilton hotel. And he was like in the city to go to some kind of annual investors meeting. And there was a gentleman who essentially walked down on him and shot him and killed him. And so what was found though is that the guy that killed him, his name was Luigi Mangione from Altoona, Pennsylvania. Well, they found him in Altoona, Pennsylvania. He was the shooter, and he got charged with Thompson's murder in a Manhattan court, right? And that's been all over the news. And a lot of folks have been going back and forth about why Luigi may have done it. I don't think that he's made anything clear as of yet, but all of the evidence that we do have of the things that he was saying, people that knew him, seems to point to the fact that he thinks that the healthcare system in the United States is very corrupt. We know that UnitedHealthcare the data shows that UnitedHealthcare has like rejected the most claims out of like any other insurance company out here. And he was also dealing with some significant injuries, back injuries and stuff that he had that kind of messed him up. And a lot of folks think that he wanted Brian Thompson to pay for his sins of corruption and denial. They found three shell casings at the scene, and on the shells, it had I think deny, depose, and detest delay. And so obviously,
which is the name of a book.
Yeah, it was like
the
subtitle
3 words of that were on a book that was about
the corrupt insurance, health insurance.
I think that the book dealt with things outside of insurance, but it was largely talking about, and the book in some ways wasn't like a condemnation. Of healthcare as much as here it talked about ethics to some degree, but it really was showing these tactics that you can use when you're navigating business, where you can depose, get folks locked up. I mean, get things locked up in courts.
Yeah,
you can delay, just keep putting things aside, and you can deny or defend. Like you can just, I don't. That's not true.
Interesting.
That's not what we did.
Yeah.
Of course, that's not true. How many times have you heard politicians? I'm even thinking about the presidential debate without bringing up any names, but I remember hearing candidates, both candidates. It doesn't matter. Both candidates that would literally be, one candidate would say to the other candidate, the other day, candidate X said, ... And while this candidate saying that, the other candidate saying, that's not true. That's not, that didn't happen. Or the heads being shaken.
Yeah.
A lot of that happened in the Trump and Biden debate. And I'm like,
true. Fam,
we heard you. I'm watching the video of you saying that very thing. Do you not feel any shame?
Right.
You're making like you're almost like questioning you're basically insulting our intelligence and our understanding of reality, but that is a practice of the powerful.
Right.
If it's my word versus yours, you have no. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, you don't have power.
That's right.
Which is
it's only a lie if I said I lied.
Yep. Right. And that's the corruption.
Yes.
That's the corruption of folks in power. You know what I mean? And that feels like that is part of what Luigi's beef was, is that he felt like he had to take matters into his own hands. He had other things like that he had like wrote online when he was like, people can't keep getting away with this. Somebody got to do something about this, kind of thing. And he felt like he had to be vengeance, right? Batman said, I am vengeance.
Yep.
And I think Luigi Mangione thought that he was vengeance, right? And he doesn't seem to have any real remorse for what he did either, even after they locked him up and all of that. So we see that. And then sadly, what we just saw occur a few days ago was there was a tragic shooting at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, Wisconsin, where 15-year-old Natalie Samantha Rupnow, a student at the school, carried out a shooting that resulted in the deaths of a teacher and another teenage student. Rupnow reportedly died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The event has left the community in mourning and raised concerns about school safety. So one of the things we are seeing a lot is these school shootings.
Yep.
This is one that was more recent. Now, Samantha, only 15 years old, which is crazy to think about a 15-year-old carrying out a school shooting, wrote a manifesto, allegedly. And it's online for some folks to read. I've read some of it, and in the manifesto, it also feels like that was also full of vengeance, right?
Yes.
She really was detesting men. She said that men are kind of a scourge on society.
They are the problem.
They are the problem. They need to be exterminated. And she also said, disassociating black men from just the men in general. She also said the N-word. N-words need to be exterminated.
No. She said especially N-words.
She said especially.
So of the men that need to be exterminated, I'm assuming she's referring to the African ones, the ones of African descent, that they even more deserve to be wiped off the face of the planet.
Exactly.
Which it's insane to me how racism is like leaven in so many Western societies.
As you said,
it's going to find some way to rise to the top. I don't care what we engaged in.
Yep. KB said earlier, he said racism is almost like a comorbidity to like tragic events or stuff like this. It's like always in there somewhere. You know what I mean? And especially like these mass shootings. But I think that what we see is that there's this idea and this through line of vengeance. right? Whether you believe that the corruption or the things that are bad and that you have a problem with have taken place or not, right?
Yeah,
I think that Luigi probably has a great case for corruption in the, not probably, Luigi does have a great case for corruption in the healthcare system. I think that we've all dealt with that, especially with, you know, the health. Yeah, what we ain't trying to hit no lawsuits, but especially with, bleep me out, Derek. That particular healthcare system, I think, company, but that's not new. Folks have talked about the corruption in the healthcare system for a very long time, especially the way that healthcare has worked in America,
right,
opposed to how it has worked in other countries, right? And I also think that Samantha would have some touch points with reality in regards to the way that men, sexist men, misogynistic men have, and especially those in power, have oppressed and brutalized women. Sure. I mean, there's no a doubt about the things that folks like Harvey Weinstein, the things that they have done and been able to get away with for a long time. Now we got Nasser and the Olympics. We got our brothers and sisters in Christ have helped, expose that. Right. You got the stuff that was happening at Canada. You have that which Nancy French has helped expose. Yeah. You have, you have these things. You got the stuff that's going on with Diddy right now. Yep. So I think that there is some truth there about how sexism and misogyny and misogynoir has been like a systemic problem within society. However, we don't think that the answer to all of those things is murder. That's right. And I don't think that God would think that that's the answer to all of those things either. Right. And in fact, he tells us a very different story about vengeance when he says, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay," says the Lord. We see that in Romans 12. We see that in Deuteronomy 32. Romans 12, the Lord is saying, "Beloved, Paul is saying, beloved, do not avenge yourselves, but rather give place to wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord." Yep. Right? And he's quoting Deuteronomy 32:35. So it's hard. I mean, we got to think about that because we live in a society that is full of sin and corruption. Yeah. And I think that all of us at times and in different points in our life may have felt that need for vengeance in big and in very small ways. And folks have been brutalized. Folks have been taken advantage of. Christians have. We're not immune from it because we serve God. Yes. We're not immune from being taken advantage of by a world that is full of sin and corruption. Mm-hmm. And in light of us being taken advantage of and exploited, there is a desire, I would even say a natural desire for vengeance. We are made in the image of God. Yes. And I think that because we are made in the image of God, when we experience corruption, when we experience exploitation, when we experience oppression, there is this righteous indignation in us that says this person or these people or this corporation or this system should not be able to get away with something like this. They need to pay. They should pay. They need to pay. That is a godly feeling. It is a godly feeling. Yes. That's why God says, I am going to give vengeance. I am going to repay. Yes. Right? Yes. And so I think that is a righteous feeling, but God is giving us the command that we need to leave that to him, right, which is hard because it is a dying to self. And dying to self hurts. Mm-hmm. It's not, that's why it's called dying to self, crucifying the flesh. Mm-hmm. The scripture uses this language of something that is excruciating. Mm-hmm. Crucifixion was a very excruciating thing. To crucify the flesh means when we are dying to self, when we are crucifying our flesh, it does not feel good. Mm-hmm. It's going to feel like a kind of death. That's why it's called dying to self. Right. And so it should not surprise us if it's hard. It should not surprise us if we're like, God, I feel like to let go of this vengeance. It's like death. Yes. I want to hurt this person so bad, or I want this person so bad to feel what I am feeling, the pain that they have caused me. I want to return that pain sevenfold on them. Yeah. But I know that it reminds me of the episode of Walking Dead when, if y'all haven't watched Walking Dead, there was a character on Walking Dead who we all came to hate for a very long time. If you're a Walking Dead fan, his name was Negan. Negan was evil. Yeah. And he loved his evil. Yep. He would kill folks in the show that were considered the good guys, and he would laugh about it. He would joke about the way that he was putting people under oppression and threatening. He was that guy that played Negan. Hats off to you, brother, because he made you hate him. Yeah. He had power. He did not have any remorse or empathy for people that he killed, and he was only out for himself. And there was a time that the leader of the good people, Rick, after seasons and seasons and seasons of Negan getting away with corruption and even killing some of our favorite characters in there with no remorse, that Rick finally got him in a place where he was able to exact vengeance on him for killing his friends. And it was like this crescendo, this moment that was like, it was building and building and building for seasons, and it got to the zenith where Rick was standing over Negan, and he had the, I can't remember if it was a bat, and he could do it. And all of us watching the show were like, do it! We've been waiting for this man to get what we've been waiting for him. We have been waiting to get payback on this man for like 3 seasons.
Right.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it, Rick, please. And Rick had it, and he dropped the weapon, and he dropped to his knees in tears, and he said, may mercy prevail over my wrath. That's what he said. He said, may mercy prevail over my wrath.
That's powerful, bro.
And I think that the way that Rick felt, that he dropped to his knees in tears because he was so full of vengeance, but he knew that the right thing to do was to show him mercy.
Right.
Is how we feel when we want vengeance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then what actually ended up happening is that Negan had a very redemptive arc in the show after that.
Really?
Where he actually started to help the good guys. He's kind of became a little bit of an anti-hero. You didn't know if you could really trust him. It's kind of how people felt about Paul. Like, in the beginning,
Maybe.
like, is he one of us or no? Maybe. Let's let him do some stuff, but let's keep an eye on him, right? But he kind of had like this redemptive arc in the story, you know? Yeah. But I think that is how vengeance can feel for us. It is a, man, let mercy I sound like Mike Tyson, let mercy prevail over my wrath. But I wish he would have said that to Lennox Lewis, but I guess Lennox Lewis made him feel that way. I feel like it was a good representation of how Rick's representation in the show was a good representation of how it could feel for us.
Yeah.
But it is what God is calling us to.
Yes.
And we could be rest assured that God is going to get his vengeance.
Yes, no one gets away with it.
No one is getting away with it, man. And he made it clear. I mean, God made it clear. You think about what it looks like for God to come back in the eschaton, that he's coming back different than he left. He's coming back on a horse, and his robe is going to be dipped in the blood of his enemies. Jesus is coming back, and he is not only thinking about those on earth who may have been unrepentant, who have been participating in all kind of evils that have ruined people's lives, man. I mean, if we really think about how far corruption has gone in the world, there have been people in power that have literally ruined people's lives.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like to the point that some of those people have killed themselves, right? Like
the medical system in America that has wounded people, and
which is why the internet had so much, had
Pharmaceutical
no remorse for,
Yeah.
and they were basically looking at Luigi as a hero.
That's right.
Because there's so many American citizens that's like, no, the healthcare system has brutalized us.
I watched
and these
Yeah.
CEOs need to be scared.
Yeah.
Right? And we saw like in New York, they were posting, they had like the wanted posters of more CEOs of healthcare work.
Crazy.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because people feel like y'all can't get away with this, bro. Y'all, there have been people that literally have died because y'all have denied them care.
That's right.
I think that is the case, but Jesus is not only is Jesus coming back to give his children vengeance, but he's also taking vengeance on the spiritual forces of wickedness that has animated all of the corruption and evil behind those on earth who have carried it out, which is Satan and his minions, right? That's what we see in the book of Revelation. I'm throwing the prostitute, I'm throwing the dragon, I'm throwing everybody in the lake of fire. Everybody going in the lake. Everybody go night-night. You go night-night, everybody going night-night. That's what Jesus is saying, bro.
Yeah.
I am knocking everybody out.
Yes.
Everybody is getting it, bro.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And that is the God we look to. He is going to come back, and he is going to help us feel all of the times that we felt like as his children, not even that, the children that have been murdered for his cause. There have been people that have been beheaded because of the gospel, right? There have been folks from the first century all the way till now that have been killed on behalf of Jesus. And he is going to say, no, y'all are going to feel it.
Wow.
Y'all are going to feel that I have got vengeance for y'all.
Yes,
and
yes.
y'all are going to be able to, in a sense, cheer at the vengeance that I'm getting. I'm gonna repay. Trust me.
Yes.
I'm
Oh, I
your
love
father.
that. I mean,
I'm your father.
Yes.
And as your father, and you are my children, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna make sure that those who have harmed you are going to pay when daddy comes back.
Yeah, straight up.
You
Straight
feel
up.
me?
Yes.
And so it is looking at, for me, it is remembering that eschatological reality
Yes.
that helps us deal with the vengeance that we want now.
Yes.
But the humility of it is we also deserve to be some of those folks that vengeance is exacted upon
Yes.
if we want to be for real.
Yes.
Because we have also brutalized people.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's very small ways that we have had power over people that we use that power
Yes.
to take advantage of them.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we're no better.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for the redemption of Jesus, we would be one of those people who the vengeance would be being exacted upon.
Sure.
You are guilty too, sir,
Yes.
or ma'am,
Yes.
of using any kind of influence or power, even just a little bit of power, that you have had to help to harm someone else.
Yes. Man,
And so, go ahead.
That's really good. I mean, it reminds me of it's like the build up to a fight. You know, when the fighters are on the stage talking crazy to each other, and that typically the conversation is heated, but unless you're Mike Tyson or Canelo and Caleb Plant at their presser, but it typically just falls just shy of them putting hands on each other.
Right.
They're talking, they're calling out the inconsistencies, they're speaking, but they know that on December 15th,
yes, in a couple weeks
at MGM in Las Vegas,
I'm gonna get my chance.
I'm gonna be in the ring with you. And when Canelo fought Berlanga, Caleb Plant was in the audience.
Oh, yes.
Going back and forth with Berlanga.
Yep.
And Canelo said to Caleb Plant, "Hey, you don't worry. The day's coming. Yep. I'm gonna take care of him. You just sit back and relax."
He said, I'll take care of it.
He said, "I'll take care of it." In his thick Mexican accent. I love his accent, bro.
Me too.
He said, "I got this. I got it. Take it easy." You know?
Right.
So like, take it easy. I got this. Then that's kind of that's
good,
essentially how God is speaking to his people. And that's another narrative, another story that needs to be shared, especially with young people, bro.
That is good.
Because a lot of these actions are based on immaturity and delusion.
Woo.
If you think that you running up, I'm thinking going back to the school shootings right now. You think you running up and killing children is going to send a message. The Columbine shooters have done nothing but ignited a pathway for all kinds of school shootings.
That's it.
There's been an explosion of school shootings since Columbine happened.
Absolutely. They were the catalyst.
This is evil does not beget righteousness.
Yep.
Evil begets more evil.
Yeah.
And that's in an explicit way. But here's another story that we have been told, broski. You're looking at two individuals who are Second Amendment people. Yeah. I'm grateful. Mm-hmm. I'm grateful for the Second Amendment.
Yeah, me too.
I'm grateful that my country allows for me in situations where there is a force that is coming to destroy my family or my life, that I can match their force with a similar force. Right. I don't have to negotiate an AR-15 with a kitchen knife. Right. I can actually negotiate AR-15 with an AR-15 in my home. Right. There are certain laws on the books that in certain situations help protect us by allowing us to defend ourselves. Right. I am grateful for that. However, everything in this world, if it's here, it is subject to the curse. Absolutely. Right? That means that it is prone to corruption. Absolutely. And Jesus reminds us, without necessarily, and I know that I'm thinking about some of our friends that would disagree with me on this, but I would argue that biblically, Jesus isn't condemning the sword. Mm-hmm. I think you can obviously say that Paul isn't condemning the sword in Romans 13. Right. He's saying there is a place where the sword can be used. Needs to be used. Yes. In a way that stops other swords from destroying the world that we know. Absolutely. Right? So for the purpose of I have to stop you Sometimes evil needs to be stopped with the same force that the evil is moving forward with.
We think about some of that with our American military.
That's right.
If our American military wasn't what it was or didn't have the force that it would, there will be other countries right now that will be bombing us relentlessly.
That's right. Absolutely.
What keeps them at bay is that they don't want to be bombed by us.
That's right.
They know that their sword could not handle our sword.
That's right. That's right.
So they like, you know what? We gonna chill a little bit. We ain't gonna
take it easy.
Take it easy. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Uh-huh.
There was and this is oftentimes connected to great evil. There's a statue of John Brown on the table in front of us right now.
Uh-huh.
Yes, was Christian thought and Christians in the North. You can read the work of John Brown.
Uh-huh.
You can read the work of abolition movements.
Yeah.
Jonathan Edwards Jr.
Uh-huh.
Were there Christians in that day who were like, slavery is evil and it needs to stop? Right? Yes.
Absolutely.
Did that motivate some of their fight against the South? Yes.
Yep.
But let me tell you one of the bigger stories, okay? Because there were Christians in the South that were keeping slavery alive.
Yeah.
And if you don't like how that sounds, you need to go talk to Charles Spurgeon.
Charles Spurgeon definitely thought that was the case.
He said, if not for the church, that the sons of Africa would be free in America. That's what he said.
And after that, American South people in the South started burning his books.
They said, burn his books and don't let him ever come here.
Yep.
And let him know if he ever shows up here,
he's
it's
dead.
a wrap.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly what they said.
Yes, did Christianity have some influence on what happened with the transatlantic slave trade? Yes. But you know what had the most influence? You know what I would argue that had the most influence on the transatlantic slave trade?
Talk to him, KB.
Guns!
Yes.
Somebody picked up a gun and said, hey, you stop or I'm going to shoot you.
Yeah, right.
Because they were saying, you let us keep doing this evil or we're going to shoot you.
Yep.
So there was a kind of force in what I'm talking about in a roundabout way is the Civil War. Mm-hmm. The Civil War resulted in the abolition of slavery, not the abolition of racism, obviously, but the abolition of slavery.
Yeah.
That there, at some point, you have to be rough with the rough to stop the bleed, to stop the evil. Mm-hmm. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so there is a kind of place for the sword,
right,
in societies. But Jesus says that those who live by the sword,
man, will die by the sword.
And that's not exactly how Jesus said it, but it's just a summation of what he was saying. Essentially, those who live by the sword will die by the sword.
Yeah.
But if you think that the means by which we live in a just society, a society where the kingdom is recognized as preeminent in terms of ethics, I ain't talking about in terms of like, Christian nationalism.
Right.
I'm saying that we think that turning the other cheek is a good thing and mercy is a good thing and justice is a good thing and taking care of the vulnerable is a good thing and respect is a good thing. If that kind of kingdom ethic is to be the culture that we live in, Jesus told you, you're not going to get there through swords.
Woo! That's exactly what he said.
You ain't going to get there through swords.
You cannot live by the sword.
Because you don't know how to wield it with the precision that God does. God knows how to wield the sword without it destroying everything.
Talk to him, bro.
If you think that wielding the sword, if you think that your AR-15, if you think, Luigi, that you shooting this CEO in New York, it ministers to the vengeance that we all feel against these bloated the healthcare center, the health care system,
right,
and the hospitals that are in tandem with them and the politicians that are in tandem with them and the pharmaceutical companies that are in tandem with them. We feel this bit of vindication by what Luigi did, but you're not vindicated.
Yeah, right.
You're not vindicated. It isn't going to work.
It's not.
There may be signals. Hey, I remember there was some insurance company that came out after the dude from United was killed. Yeah. And they were talking about, hey, we're going to now start covering anesthesia.
Yeah, we're going to walk back what we said about not covering anesthesia after a certain amount of time. Yeah.
I had to go get by the way, those who've been with Southside Rabbi, I did get my procedure and it went very well by God's grace.
Praise God.
But my insurance company said, we're not paying for your anesthesia. You pay for that, buddy. Now, what happens if I'm living in financial risk and I cannot afford to pay the anesthesiologist to put me asleep during this colonoscopy. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna thug it out.
Yeah.
And now a year or two goes by, and I go in when I say I get the money to go do it now, and then they find something that has turned into cancer
That could have been prevented.
that could have easily been prevented.
Yep.
If I could have simply.
Yep.
I'm not asking for something for nothing. I pay for this monthly.
Every month.
I understand what you are feeling. I have seen hospitals, the pharmaceutical industry. I've seen insurance companies destroy the lives of people that I love.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Do not get it twisted. That CEO who lost his life in that murder, I guarantee you his family are not getting denied, delayed, and deposed.
Absolutely.
They're not. So I know you're thinking about all that stuff and you're like, so it's kind of hard for me to be mad at Luigi. But that is just speaking to the payback. But the Bible comes and reminds you that feeling that you have, if it doesn't then go to mercy and leave room for the wrath of God, as the scripture also says.
Yeah.
Then you're not going to get the outcome. You're not going to get what you're thinking that you have in the death of the CEO. You're thinking in the death of the CEO that you've gotten some kind of resolve. You've gotten some kind of redemptive. No, bro.
Yeah.
No, I think we forget, broski, like God knows what he's talking about. And when he tells you that the means by which you get stuff done in a way that we can flourish in the long run, we're not talking about stopping the bleeding. There's two categories.
Right.
Justice that includes force is about stopping evil.
Right.
And by doing so, it opens up the door for righteousness, right? There's a serial, killer in the streets, Ted Bundy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Pulling him off the streets stops the bleeding.
Right away.
And I would argue, even
Straight
though
to jail.
I have a lot of thoughts about the death penalty as it is practiced in America, I do think that the death penalty, that there's an argument that can be made for it.
Yeah.
But I have serious concerns about those who are deciding the death penalty should be given. But that's a whole other conversation. But getting these people out of the society, stopping them, that is a justice issue. Stopping what healthcare systems are doing is a justice issue.
Right.
But make no mistake, dog. The means by which we get there, if misogyny is an issue, if racism is an issue, whatever it may be, and you can go to the Bible, you should go to the Bible, but you can go to history.
Right.
When did perpetual violence as a means by keeping the society in order ultimately work?
Yeah.
Where? What society?
Right.
What society? Man, you couldn't breathe wrong in the Roman Empire. And they thought it was their vengeance on all disruptors that kept them safe.
Yep. And that mug crumbled.
And it crumbled quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds of years to build.
By violence.
By violence. And violence against other people.
Right.
You think you're just going to eradicate this? And if I can be vulnerable for a minute, that's what scares me about America, bro. What scares me about this place, bro, that I love, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Is how long will we be able, by force, to somehow usurp the skeletons in our closet, bro, and the dead bodies that we've buried in the backyard historically?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how long before someone does to us what we have done to so many others?
Man.
That scares me, bro. It's a scary thought.
Right.
My hope is that we as a country would make amends.
Right.
Globally, that we can
Right.
keep our super force, that we can still kind of it's the Navy, and cats are grossly people grossly underestimate. They're talking about sending all this money to these different countries and they're putting all this money in the military spend and stuff like that. We grossly underestimate how the United States helps to keep order in the world.
Right.
In the seas.
Yeah, because we're the
in
world.
Important passages.
Yeah, you have people saying, we shouldn't even be the world police. Let other people handle their own problems. We should be isolationists. It's like, bro, you don't understand. You don't
First of all,
understand.
they're here. Our adversaries are here in America right now.
Right now. Like literally. We're catching them, sending them back. Russian spies are being sent back.
Yes.
Chinese spies are being sent
Yes.
back. They are literally here.
Yes.
Undermining the stuff that we have going on.
Yes.
And that's just a small tip of the iceberg.
Absolutely.
Terrorist plots in the United States are being foiled every day.
Yes,
that we
bro.
never hear about.
Yes. I got a good friend that hates the CIA, hates the FBI, hates Homeland Security, and then comes to me and says, "Why don't you, KB? Don't you know the stories about COINTELPRO? Don't you know the stories about the Iran Contra?
MK Ultra.
Don't you know the story? Blah 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 blah. You know they were spying on Martin Luther King, and they set up my. I know all those stories, but I also know the stories about how bombs would have went off and destroyed a mall if not somebody, if not the FBI stepping in and doing something.
That's
I also know the stories of how that there are our troops through intelligence.
Yep.
We're able to be able to divert and deflect and be delivered from certain death. I know those stories too.
Absolutely.
The world that you live in exists partly because of these organizations
and what they're doing in the shadows.
So what we should want to do, because their work is important, the sword is important, that we also need to develop a narrative, a story. Forgive me if we're talking in secular terms, but I'm gonna use a Christian term, a discipleship effort that helps those who are in power demands that those who are in power use that power ethically.
Right.
And that's what I mean. That's what I want to see our military do, which we have done. I mean, World War II, I'll say it. I say it with my whole chest, bro. United States saved the world in World War II, bro.
Yeah, man. It was bad.
They saved the world, bro.
Yeah. We didn't do it perfectly.
And I know I can hear Wes right now, you freaking patriot. Here you go with your nationalist foolishness. I understand that you're going to be able to point out all, because we
didn't do it perfectly.
We're all still, it's almost like the curse is like dirty pipes, right? And everything that we do, our good intentions, the image that we're created in, our need to execute policy, government, military,
which would be the clean water.
It's the clean water that's going, because these things are good. Vengeance is a good thing.
Yeah. But it's going through dirty pipes.
But God is saying you can't let that go through your pipes. If you're funneling these things through dirty pipes, it's going to be poison on the other end.
Yes.
And that is the nature of this world. So we are constantly needing filters.
Right.
We're constantly needing to say certain things cannot be in our water ever. We cannot show up to just blow stuff up. Like we can't do that because we're mad.
Right. Or because we just want to take something that you have.
Dog.
Yeah.
I think now this isn't really a political thing. Nobody really disagrees with this now. But bro, all of us, I was too young to really appreciate this as I look back in hindsight. When you think about what happened in 9/11, bro, that y'all had that these folks had the audacity to hijack planes, right, and fly them into the World Trade Center, and then celebrate it.
Yeah.
Make music videos. They're dropping mixtapes every week, bro, about what they want to do to America. And this is just a step in the right direction in jihad. When you see all of that stuff and you hear that, you know what I'm saying, like, the cats are like going over there, and this was in some of the hearts of the soldiers. A lot of the hearts of the soldiers. You watch movies that show people who deployed to Afghanistan or the Middle East after 9/11.
Absolutely. You think
what kind of time were dudes on?
Pat Tillman, the dude that was in the NFL, left his NFL career and went over there and died.
Yes, bro. Did he really?
Yeah. Actually, by friendly fire.
Really?
But he left the NFL and said, "No, I'm signing up. I'm going."
Yeah, bro. And I'm saying, like, when you see all of that, it's like when we are under attack or the Olympics, we're all unified.
That's true. You know it's a fact. Cats be putting their political stuff aside.
They put it all aside, man.
Everybody just be like, "We're America now.
Black,
we ain't left.
black,
we ain't right.
You ain't left. You ain't right.
You red, white, and blue.
American.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
You
America.
feel that in the Olympics, and you feel that when we're going to war.
Yep.
And when you feel all of that, but bro, when we read about the death squads, when we read about the instability that was created in Afghanistan and Iraq, when we read about the folks that were torturing people, we read about rapes.
Yep. You see what happened at Guantanamo Bay and all that.
Guantanamo Bay. When you start reading about all of that, you quickly see that it went from justice into vengeance.
Yep.
And then you got to ask, did we win? Oppenheimer. This is my last kind of point here, dog. And then I'll give it to you. Yeah.
I've made a lot of points about that, about the nuclear bomb,
bro. Japan attacked us, and it was in the interest of the United States, which I would argue was the right thing to do, to make sure that they would not do that again.
Absolutely,
that we were protected against their aggression.
Yep.
However, and there are historians that argue about this. The historians that I read are pretty clear that we want to send a message to the world. I mean, the president at the time essentially said that off the record. I mean, and some of the stuff that he was saying on the record. We want to send a message to the world that if you ever touch America, you will not exist.
Right.
I want you to know that. Okay? And there's some, hold on. There's a brother that said something just like that at Capitol Hill a few years ago. He said, listen, we want to be friends with our allies. We want to keep the world a safe place for people to do commerce. We want people to be able to live in equitable, just societies. But if you cross us, this is what the dude said. I get goosebumps just talking about it. He said, but if you attack us in our essential pursuit of a righteous world, somebody else will raise your children.
Yep.
Because it won't be you.
Yep.
That's what he said.
That is what he said.
I'm saying? There is some valor in that kind of talk. There absolutely is. But it's running through dirty pipes. So you get this atomic bomb.
Yep.
That that is Oppenheimer is the scientist that was able to basically help figure out the formula to create this with a team of other people. So now you got this atom bomb. And this is in the beginning of the book, in the beginning of the movie Oppenheimer, there's this quote from a Greek god where it was basically from a Greek story, a Greek mythological story that was talking about this god that was being punished because that god had given fire to man. And by giving man fire, they are now in a place where they can become, and there's the phrase, destroyer of worlds. And we dropped those bombs in Japan. Sudden victory. Sudden victory. But now we have given fire to man.
Yep.
And now there are several countries on this planet that have the ability to destroy the world, bro. When they were doing all of the work on the atom bomb, they were concerned that they might do something to the atmosphere that could literally cause like a solar flare.
Right.
Like something that would be equivalent to a solar flare.
Right.
Like we could move elements around and cause the world to like combust.
Right. Yeah.
There is so much unintended consequence that comes with the sword that there must be even more intentional, ethical discipleship,
right,
that keeps the sword in check. And I call those filters in this analogy. And that is why we, in some ways, can recognize what folks are feeling. I get what you're feeling. We feel it too. We know that this is a messy world. Sometimes eggs get cracked.
Yeah.
But make no mistake, if you throw caution to the wind, ethics to the wind, if you throw morals to the wind and vengeance is your God,
man,
God promises you, not only will things not get better, right? You're not going to solve the issue.
No.
Right? In addition to that, you are going to create a much worse world. And that's what you got to grapple with. That's what we have to grapple with as we think about these things.
Yeah. Man, that's good, Kay. I mean, I think that we leave it at that. You know, I think what KB said was really good. You think about what usually happens in vengeance is we think that if we take it, we're going to feel better.
Yep.
But what you find out is that you usually don't feel better. You may feel better for a time. It's like any other sin. You like, man, if I could just do this, you get a little bit of satisfaction and then all of a sudden that mug is gone. Right? And now you are left to deal with the consequences of your sin, which may be a broken, the family is destroyed, your marriage is destroyed, your ministry is destroyed, you're in jail, you're getting the death penalty. The consequences are endless. Like as one person said, that as men or as adults, we get to choose and decide. As men and as adults, men or women, we get to decide what we're going to do. We get to make our own choices, but we don't get to decide our consequences.
That is absolutely right.
Right?
Absolutely right.
And so
Yes.
I think it's the same with vengeance.
Yep.
It doesn't do
So good,
anything
bro.
for you.
Yep.
It's not going to get rid of the pain that you have. If you are trying to take vengeance on somebody that has taken a loved one from you, you may feel good for a little minute after you did it, but it's not going to get rid of the pain.
Yeah.
The pain of that loved one being gone is still going to be there. The anger that person took that loved one from you is still going to be there. It's a pit that does not end,
bro. And I feel like it also just supports this. For this conversation, I'm separating justice from vengeance. But what would make you feel better, what we know, is closure. Right. And that's what I mean. Like, justice is supposed to be a closure for the situation.
That's exactly what
closes the door.
Right.
Vengeance keeps the wound open.
Yep.
And you got to keep on tending to it as it is rotting in front of you.
Yep.
That's what vengeance does, bro.
Right.
Now, we were talking about stories that are being told. At some point, we need to have a Second Amendment.
Oh, yeah, we should.
Because Amin is a proud member of the NRA. And,
no, I'm not.
And he loves guns.
Yeah. Unless if by NRA he means the National Righteous Association, yes. But not the National Rifles Association. I'm a part of the Negroes Righteous Association.
Wait, isn't there a black one though that you're a part of?
It's called NAGA, but I'm not a part of them either. And I think it's a terrible name.
It's called NAGA.
It's one eye away.
Awful.
It's one eye away from the other word.
Bro, they need some branding issues. That's why nobody wants to be a part of it.
That's exactly why nobody wants to be a part of it.
All the NAGAs come here.
Yeah.
And the NAGAs in the house.
Literally, the dude starts the meeting. He says, "Where are my NAGAs at?" I said, "No,
goodness.
Nope." As soon as I saw him say that in the video, I said, "I will never be a part of this organization."
Dime from me. I ain't contributing to this at all.
This is foolishness.
But we'll lead this for another conversation.
Yeah.
But what I would love for Amin to do, because Amin has had some solid debates with some heavy thinkers on the. I'm thinking about one from a very old very old episode where he sat down with a college professor who was a Christian pacifist and actually a hero of ours, Keith Kiesler. But they had a very good spirited debate on the role of guns in a Christian's life. There should be no role for guns in the Christian's life.
Yeah.
But we have to ask ourselves, why are our kids finding that the ways in which they can get stuff, this is all young people, bro.
Yes. Majority.
Mainly young people.
Yes.
Why do they feel that the means by which we are going to shift the society is through shooting people? Or the means by which I'm going to deal with my own wounds is wounding other people with guns.
Yep.
What I'm saying is this is wildly complicated. There's many layers to it. But there is a narrative that comes from people in power who we're buying the guns from, who are lobbying to keep things in place, that in some ways are holding on to what I think is a good amendment. But there is a story that comes along with it from the lining of the pipes that this whole I'm defending myself. I have a sword to protect myself and my family. It's running through the pipes of fallenness, and it comes on the other end as stop talking about guns. Guns aren't the problem.
Yep. Exactly right.
But there's so many young people that think that guns are the solution to their problems.
Right.
What do y'all have to say about that?
Right.
Conversation for another day.
Yep. Conversation for another day. And we will have it. Yeah. We will have it by God's grace. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord.
Amen.
He will repay. And let us leave vengeance to our God, who can, as KB said, execute vengeance in a way in which corruption, fallenness, and sin is not involved.
Right.
But he can do it in absolute righteousness and purity. And that's who we want to trust to get vengeance for us and not us, because we'll mess it up, man.
Amen, bro.
So we love y'all. This has been an episode of Southside Rabbi. We do want to let y'all know that we are going to be taking a break. KB is actually going to be going on tour soon.
Yep.
And he got a lot of shows coming up. So if you hear this, please remember to pray for him. Please remember to pray for the effectiveness of him and others as they go out to preach the gospel and minister to people's souls.
Amen, broski.
That God would be with them and that God would cover them, protect them, but also use them for his glory.
Yes.
And KB will be gone for a little bit, so we may have a little break, and we may give y'all some other content, some alternate content.
Yeah, I mean, still gonna be giving y'all.
Yeah, I'll give y'all a little something,
you know what
I'm saying?
The Patreon is popping right now, right?
Yeah,
so
listen, we putting up content
there are
on that.
exclusive Bible studies that are on the Patreon, exclusive updates from us, exclusive access, obviously, to all our episodes, and we are going in the new year going to also provide exclusive access to other parts of the HGA universe. So you're gonna want to get down with us.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, it's writing articles.
We got articles going on that mug.
Yep.
So yeah, man, y'all make sure y'all tune in, tap into the Patreon. We even have some stuff on there. We gave y'all little discount codes to some native supply drip. You know what I'm saying? So you play your cards right. You know what I'm saying? You might be able to get some of the drip for less.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And also we'll have some more behind the scenes content coming. Bonus content, behind the scenes content coming as well. So make sure y'all tap in. We love y'all. Again, we thank y'all for supporting Southside Rabbi. We do not take your support for granted. Please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review because that helps the visibility. And if you want the gospel to go forward, please help us get some more visibility there. Like on YouTube. So, that always helps the algorithm as well. Share it on the Reels, on IG, on YouTube, on Facebook, wherever your mama and your daddy, your uncles and your friends and your nephews is. You know what I'm saying? So holla at your boy. This is I Mean a Dream.
K to the second letter.
We love y'all. Peace.
Peace.